Well, what is going on, YouTube? Welcome back to A Therapeutic Edge. Hope everybody's having a good day today. I'm having a great day, primarily because of this thing. So, this is the new Off-Grid Knives Alpha Dog, and it is
a tank.
As Women Carry Knives says, a tank. It is an absolute monster. Comes with a very nice Kydex, or close to, yeah, it's Kydex sheath with a little belt loop. It's nice. But I've had this thing for a week or so now. And hold on. Women Carry Knives, you going to sneeze?
Not anymore.
I've had this thing for a week or so now, and I had the opportunity to take it over to some of the properties that I help take care of and just beat the crap out of it. Because look at it. It's an absolute monster. And it has withstood everything I've thrown at it and more. Now, there are people out there that actually hard use test knives. I'm not one of those people, but I have feather sticked with it. I have chopped wood with it. I have cut branches off trees with it. I have used it to cut the standard stuff that I always do, packing straps, cardboard, you name it. And this thing has put up with everything I have thrown at it and said, that's fine, let's do some more. It has been an absolute pleasure to use. Now, you may have noticed from looking at it on the table that it is not what you would call small. This is a big knife. The blade itself, if we can get that lined up, is 1, 2, 3, 4, just about 4.5 inches of cutting on right at 5 inches of D2 steel. Now, Off-Grid, whatever choices they make in their manufacturing, my experience so far with their D2 has been nothing short of spectacular. This is no exception. Held in edge beautifully. I mean, the edge, I haven't sharpened this thing, and it is still wickedly sharp. Let's get back to our measurements just so we can. The handle from behind the choil right here, 1, 2, 3, 4 3/4 inches of handle. The overall knife, as you can see, and line that up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, just shy of 10 inches. It is, look, this is a serious knife for serious business, and yet I take great sort of pleasure in big, sort of almost ridiculous and yet totally usable knives. I was trying to figure out what I could use to do size comparisons up against this thing. And, you know, are we going to use the bug out?
No.
No. In fact, the knife that this made me think the most of is an absolute personal favorite. And it's this. This is like a big fixed version of the Formax. It really is. There are some differences, of course. You get a little more blade. There's subtle differences, but the overall feel in hand, even though the handle's a little bigger, this is the closest thing I could think of. This is bigger than most of my other fixed blades. I mean, it's an absolute monster. But yeah, so if you really like the Formax and want a fixed blade version, ta-da, right? Fixed blade reviews are interesting because I can't talk about the pivot and I can't talk about the action and I can't talk about the pocketability and all that stuff. But this is just a great knife to use. Now, I would like to point out that you kind of have to have big hands. This is an extra chunky handle. They did that on purpose. Please forgive the Band-Aid. It is one of the risks of being a knife reviewer. But I have got particularly large hands, and the handle is a full handful for me. Women Carry Knives, would you like to turn that over? Yeah.
Yeah, it's monstrous.
It's a big boy. According to the specs, it is 5 millimeters of D2 steel. It is their Cryo D2. The G10 handles have been milled, scales have been milled in such a way to give you lots of good traction. Let's see if I can get a picture of that. This lighting in here is just not working with me today. There we go. I do want to point out that it is screwed on and not, not pinned on, so you could take these off and change them out with something if you really wanted to. I wouldn't know why you would, but you can. I just love the way this thing is shaped. It is absolutely a tough monster. And I'll tell you something, because it is 5 millimeters, you'd think it'd be super thick behind the edge, but with what, 2 inches, more than 2 inches from the top of the blade down to the bottom of this swell right here, this belly, it comes down to a really nice edge. It is pointy, but it's not really a stabby looking knife. But I'll tell you, if you needed to get into a gas station fight, this would be an absolute, it would be an appropriate tool for the job. It really would.
You could just throw it.
Yeah,
You don't have to be holding it to stab somebody.
In a real pinch, you could just wing this at someone and knock them clean out. Because it is not an insignificant knife. I mean, look at how thick that is. It's fantastic. Let's go ahead and weigh it.
Let's do that.
Let's, shall we?
Here you go. Would you like me to hand you the scale?
Why, thank you, my dear.
You're welcome.
Isn't it nice that women carry knives to join me at the table today? Or, you know, just be here staring at me. $14.6 ounces. Yep. This is a serious knife for serious business. By way of example, the Formax is 10.3. I mean, it is a beefier, it's just a monster. But that's okay. And they're about 90 bucks, I think. Right now, I think they're on sale at about 90 bucks. And you're not going to get this much knife, this well made for that kind of money from a company that has such a great track record as Off-Grid anywhere else. I mean, oh, this thing is spectacular. I'm not going to go too much farther into this. It would not do me much good, but I will say that if you are interested in this knife, go get one. They make a blackout version of this thing that is just cool as hell looking. I prefer more of a clean blade, so this is really nicely stonewashed. But they do make an all-black version if you're into it. It comes, as I said, with a really nice sheath, which is wandered away. The fitment on the sheath for a factory sheath is really good. It's almost dangler style. In fact, it is with a button and Velcro, so it stays on the belt very nicely. You, of course, can take this off and turn it or add different clips to it if you want to carry it scout style or however you want to do it. But I really want to just spend a minute with that. I've gotten a lot of knives from a lot of places, and often the absolute weak spot is the sheath. Turns out making a really good sheath is kind of an art. And the folks over at Off-Grid clearly have put the time, energy, and effort to make sure this thing is right. Because again, listen to this retention. You know, it's really good. It really is. This is one of the few knives I've ever had that my first thought was not immediately, I'm going to have my buddy Chris that makes great Kydex make me something nicer, because this is very good. I guess we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. If you want a monster fixed blade for not a ton of money from a good company that makes reliable knives in a good steel that's done right, go check out the Off-Grid Alpha Dog. I'm super glad I got one in hand, and I think if you like just sort of awesome knives, and awesome in the real sense of the word, awesome in size, awesome in cutting capacity, awesome in all sorts of ways, you're going to love this thing. I know I do. Thank you so much for watching. This has been the Off-Grid Knives Alpha Dog. I have been the Therapeutic Edge. My lovely assistant.
Hello.
Has been Women Carry Knives.
Peace.
Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.